Okay, everybody, we are back with yet another Mega Man run. So I will waste no time and pass it off to the experts themselves, Mr. Cab running and LV Creed on commentary. Take it away.
You said you were passing off to experts, but I don't see. Oh, hi everybody. Hey, how's it going? Okay, maybe that wasn't a good intro.
Sure. Experts, right.
Right.
Apparently we are right now.
I guess I'm the best Mega Man 7 runner in the room. Although I think Creed's got the hacks down. But so without further ado, this game has a really long intro, so we're just gonna get things started in 5, 4, 3. Hang on. 3, 2, 1, go. This game and Mega Man X, I guess. The title screen likes to run away from me sometimes. So, it's Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo. We finally captured Dr. Wily at the end of Mega Man 6. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Except it kind of did eventually. If you were to look at the introduction, you'll see that after a given period of time, Dr. Wily did actually plan ahead of actually getting captured. So what's about to happen? Well, what's about to happen now is we're about to get some interesting headgear.
Let's
That's
go
all
Mets!
before. Well, never mind. Of course, you like the hat.
I love the hat. Shout outs to Ricochet wherever he is. And let's just keep going.
Dang, I hadn't heard that reference in ages. God
Whenever
bless
I
you,
see
White
Mega Man
Comics.
wearing that hat, that's all I can think of is Bob and George.
But yeah, as the deep lore goes, Wally pretty much anticipated being captured. He had 4 robots waiting in storage that after a certain period of time, they pretty much go activate and on the attack to try to free Dr. Wily, which of course you're seeing on screen right now for the whole 2 minutes of cutscenes.
And I guess that's why, like Ahmad's saying, everyone is super angry in this game because we've got 16 bits of sprite faces. It might be because of this 2-minute intro.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to go, but the game just won't let you.
Wily's not even waiting to show off the eyebrows today. All right, we can play the video game now.
Indeed, and welcome to once again Mega Man 7, the first classic Mega Man game on the Super SNES. Of course, we know that Rockman Forte came much later, but right now we got some Mega Man 7 up for the wraps, and as you're seeing right now, Cab is gonna be taking some intentional damage just about on everything. Of course, even on the Mad Grinder here, trying to kill it as quickly as possible in order to actually get done with the stage much sooner, because what's coming up now is a little bit of a cutscene battle with our newly found friend, Base. And with the damage reduction, Base really doesn't quite think much of us. He pretty much thinks that we're kind of weak, obsolete, whatever goes in Base's head. But yeah, as long as we take that damage after taking a certain number of hits beforehand, we exit out of the stage and we get to the Robot Masters proper. And in this game, unlike the NES games proper, we start off kind of in a half and half. So we start with 4 Robot Masters rather than the full 8. In this route, since we're doing 80%, we're going in weakness order and we're starting with Cloudman stage. So Cloudman stage can be a pretty treacherous stage. Of course, as any aerial stage in any Mega Man game goes, it can be pretty deadly. But of course, this stage also wants to feature weather effects. And the weather effects can be pretty hazardous. We're gonna see if Cab's gonna take care of this open air section that's kind of somewhat remnant of Airman. We're gonna see. Are you gonna go for the slide?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there we go. And now slide successfully done. Now we just gotta go through this little area where technically it's invisible platforms. You get a spotlight. If you come here with like the freeze cracker and hit that second weather bot that you saw twice, the second one will actually turn the area into snow. But of course, since he doesn't have that, he had to recognize the terrain so it doesn't fall into the pits.
No.
And now for this final area, dealing with these fanboys around here. Fortunately, they weren't trying to blow him backwards, which could have been pretty hazardous for some of these jumps, but Cab was able to get through the area safely. And now we're dealing with Cloudman.
I don't know if this
So,
health total is safely or not, but we are here.
It's safe enough. You didn't die.
Fair.
But yeah, for the Cloudman fights, you only have your Buster, and your Buster is a little bit weaker than it was in the past. Now that you're doing 2 units of damage as opposed to the usual 3, like as it were in the NES Megas. So fights could be a little bit drawn out, especially for a case like this, since whenever Cloudman absorbs lightning, he's 100% invincible. You got to deal with the wind physics and dodging all the electrical attacks that Cloudman just winds up dishing out at you. But Cat was able to deal with it fine. We're all safe and sound, and now we're done with Cloudman stage, and we get actually a pretty decent weapon in the Thunderbolt. Well, of course, we playing the Japanese version. It's called the Thunder Strike.
If you were just playing Mega Man X, everybody knows it's actually Spark Mandrill's weapon.
Yeah, actually, that's basically what
It's Spark Mandrill's weapon. Who are you kidding?
But yeah, as I mentioned, we're playing the Japanese version, and of course, one of the major things about the Japanese version is when you get through the weapon get cutscenes, you get character RNG. So you have to deal with appearance with either Dr. Light, Otto, or Roll. You always want Dr. Light. Mr. Cab didn't get Dr. Light. Thus he
Mr. Cab
wastes
is
time.
sad.
And of course, between Roll and Auto, the differences in time losses in varying degrees. There's always one that we meme about, but of course we meme about it for a good reason because it's the worst time loss in the entire cutscene RNG scenario. But we'll talk about that if we see it. But for right now, like I said, we're going to weakness order, and now we're going to do Junkman stage. Junkman stage is actually pretty good now that we're going to weakness order. The Thunderbolt actually has interesting interactions with this stage, especially with the machinery in this stage. And what we're going to be using the Thunderbolt for is especially for this little area right here, where we're going to, and of course, depending on the side that he shoots the Thunderbolt on, these machinery parts can actually move up and down on opposite directions, more or less. But 2 reasons: one, it's faster than climbing up on your own. Second, you just saw Mr. Cap get it. We're getting the Rush Jet, and the Rush Jet, of course, very good aerial movement. You're gonna see it used almost immediately.
If you use coil on the screen, you're crazy. You might also save a couple of frames, but you're crazy.
Yep. Just pretty much fly over everything here, not have to worry about falling down, and now just get the Thunderbolt ready for the Junkman fight. And the thing about the Junkman fight, as with pretty much most if not every Robot Master when dealing with weaknesses, is that you kind of want to avoid as many weakness animations as much as possible, so you don't waste too much time in the fight. So what Cat was trying to do and has done, he's shooting the Thunderbolt a little early so the little sparks actually hit him as opposed to the big sparks. The big sparks is what's causing the actual weakness animation, as you saw Junkman just fly up and over the room, wasting time because he's in the air too much.
Auto!
Okay, and more time loss. Can't be helped. Well, it can be helped if the RNG wants it to be, but right now we're just saying it can't be helped.
I know. The little sparks, to Junkman, they do the same amount of damage. I know to Wily Machine they do different amounts of damage. I don't know about normal enemies. I'm sure it's different. Whatever. It's a video game.
Yeah, it's kind of varying degrees per enemy, per boss, so on and so forth. Anyway, you got Junk Shield. Very strong weapon. We use it every so often we can get to destroy enemies as quickly as possible when need be. And of course, we're going to be using it on Freezeman stage, especially on Freezeman himself. But before then, we got a stage to deal with. And the stage is a typical ice level. Just pretty much just try to navigate the area as smooth as possible. There we go. Good jump. You can always, if you time your jump as soon as you transfer on that screen, you get just about almost always grab that ladder. Of course, you gotta make sure that jump timing is correct. But let's see. Make sure that you go through these areas safely. Use these icicle dropping robots to create platforms so you don't have to worry about jumping over the spikes. Some you can jump over some of them, but some of them are very risky and could lead to immediate death. So of course you want to take it safe so you can, continue on with the run.
I don't know what I'm doing with this, but I'm getting it anyway.
Well, that might depend if you want to do something at the very end. But of course that's for the very end. But yeah, it's a pretty much straightforward stage. Talk about the Rush Church right quick. The Rush Church is just the utility, the newest Rush utility where Rush pretty much just teleports in, digs the ground, and a random object comes up. In some places, a spectral item comes up. It'll always be acknowledged with him barking. But anyway, for the Freezeman fight, give him a heaping helping of junk shield, but make sure that not too much of the junk shield sprites are on screen, because you can see this fight can be very, very laggy with all the stuff that Freezeman just fires on the screens. But it still does an immense amount of damage to Freezeman, and the fight is just over with a few junk hits.
If Mega Man 5 is how I learned to love the Super Arrow, and Mega Man 6 is kill it with flame, Mega Man 7 is just a pile of junk. The junk shield is just this amazingly great weapon. It does tons of damage. It kills lots of enemies. And it has more lag than Mega Man 3 somehow. So,
Can't block a bullet for the life of me.
you know, it's one of those counterattacking shields more than like a shield.
But yeah, now we got freeze cracker, multi-directional. You can't shoot directly up or down. You can't shoot in diagonals. When it hits a wall, it scatters into multiple smaller shots.
So it's shotgun ice. Except you can't shoot that on diagonals, I guess.
Sweet mercy. But yeah, now for arguably the dangerous stage amongst
I've
the
got
four
search.
of the first four. First things first. Oh, nice. But yeah, it's such a weird quirk that this Rush Jet has in trying to squeeze through these bombs. For some strange reason, and I don't know the exact means behind it, but it's like whenever you're on the Rush Jet, Mega Man's hitbox is, I'm gonna say, is small enough to actually squeeze through in between bombs, and you saw MrCab was able to utilize that fact right on the Rush Jet and squeeze through a couple of those bombs. And of course, we got a Crab mini boss, kill it with junk.
I'm always here
It's
to kill
dead.
Mr. Crab.
All right, let's see if we can get this time right. That's a pretty good height, pretty good jump.
Oh no. Okay, we're there. Speed noises.
But yeah, as the chemicals wind up changing color, the properties of it change, as you saw. Now that it's very buoyant, you're floating up in the air. You saw MrCab, after defeating Mr. Crab, was able to use it to get a good vertical height and vertical speed to get through that section quickly as possible. And now he's on, kind of like on cycles. The current, the bobbing up and down, the chemicals is actually moving up and down on a cycle. So Cab is trying to navigate through it to try to get through this actually very tight area full of instant-kill spikes above and below as quickly and as safely as possible.
I'm waiting for Rush to like do something terrible here.
I fully respect the stalling.
Look at
tactics.
Rush. He's just like not moving. That's like probably my least favorite thing about Mega Man 7. If Rush is in a bad place, he just will not move. And get that for the marathon.
But yeah, now that we got the Freeze Cracker crib, which is the weakness for Burstman, the Burstman fight is a pretty cyclic fight. All you're doing is just shoot the Freeze Cracker. He does a weakness flinch, which fires a lot of bombs. Rinse and repeat, but making sure that you're jumping over the bubbles, which is the danger app, and try not to get caught by them. Getting caught itself is a waste of time because you got to try to escape the bubbles, but of course you got to try to escape it before it reaches up and try to hit you in the instant kill spikes that are above. Fortunately, MrCab was having none of it and was able to defeat Burstman as quickly as possible.
It's like looking for that little like jut of the water going through his tubes, and the moment you realize that all you have to do is full jump and shoot him, that goes from like probably my least favorite boss fight in the game to, oh, this is easy. Just don't screw up.
Also, we did not get the meme select character for this stage. So, and not only that, we actually got Dr. Light best case scenario, literally for this stage as far as cutscene RNG goes. Do not get burst roll. It wastes 14 seconds.
It's like reach for reset if you see burst roll and you want a great time. I mean, you know, not when you're picking up the game, but it's just, oh god.
I mean, I always get ecstatic when burst roll comes up. It's not that I'm anti-meme, but there's just some memes that connect with me, and burst roll is just that one that connects.
Oh man, burst roll.
But yeah, a little bit of a plot here. Just pretty much Dr. Light and Mega Man just shooting the breeze, talking about bass behind his back. Wondering if he's a good guy or a bad guy, until the Robot Museum gets attacked, and once again, Dr. Wily declares his ever-loving dedication of Gutsman, pretty much taking his deactivated, unliving corpse away for who knows what kind of purpose, and leaves a clown behind.
Da-na.
So this is MASH. MASH is, you gotta pretty much hit the head. The danger wrap is good for this fight, but you're also seeing the secondary mechanic of the danger wrap. Aside from the bubble, if you press down and attack, it lays down a landmine in which the bubble was normally encased in. It does pretty significant damage whenever you shoot Mash's head, where it bounces around whenever you hit it initially. Of course, after that, Dr. Light winds up declaring that now 4 more robots, which gives us our heaping heaven of 8 robot masters in the very end, and they are running loose in the city. So we gotta take them out, and we're starting with Slash. So Slash Man stage can be a bit of a treacherous stage if you're going through it normally. As you can see, gotta time through some rolling logs upon the waterfalls, but for the most part, the main gimmick is just the dinosaurs that are all over the stage. And we're going to be using Rush Jet to full effect, because right now, one of these dinosaurs, which we're going to be skipping, wouldn't normally be used to navigate through these empty-kill spikes since they can run across them. But of course, you got to wait for them to activate. They move slow when they jump, because they got to jump from platform to platform. Just use Rush Jet to ignore all of it.
We made it. That section's actually kind of scary, because in Mega Man 7, for whatever reason, if Rush gets hit by an enemy, he despawns. Like, he'll take the damage. So you're flying over those spikes, and if any one of those like little telly-type enemies decides to hit Rush, bye. Back to the start of the stage.
That is very much correct. It's definitely faster, but you're not exactly free. But anyway, we saw a T-Rex. We gave it a heap of little bombs. It died. You also could use Junk Shield, but Junk Shield also does a ton of lag. So it's just pretty much a straight stretch through a forest into a corridor. And now probably for one of the scariest fights, not only casually, but in a speed run. Slash Man, what Cabby's doing, there is a bit of a damage threshold that Slash Man deals with before going up on the walls. So what Cabby's doing, he's going to be shooting 2 charge shots before doing the actual weakness weapon, which is the freeze cracker, before he goes into the walls and on top of the screen where he can't do anything, while Slashman just dumps ketchup bombs on your head, which does unfortunate effects. As long as you're able to get the damage correctly, not miss shots or shoot the freeze cracker early, which puts him into the walls early, you pretty much got yourself a pretty decent fight.
Robbed of a gold split by the ketchup. I've never actually gotten that fight in a run before. Been working on it, though. Of course, we get auto after that, too. At least they match now.
I know there was like a spreadsheet regarding the different timings between all the characters for all the stages. I wish I had that on hand so I can exactly know the variances between the time losses between each and every characters, how much they lose over Dr. Light, but it is what it is. It's just all you need to know is if you see auto or roll instead of Dr. Light for any weapon get cutscene, you're losing time.
I could
That's
swear
just
there was like one of them or something where light was actually not the fastest, but except for burst, I think it is. I'm like speaking choppily here because I'm trying to push the B button and bounce off these springs properly.
yeah, Springman stays a little bit of an obstacle course in terms of spring management. But otherwise, as you can see, Junk Shield is pretty much once again a godsend. Just pretty much almost no, basically one-shotting everything in its path. It's pretty much steamrolling literally amongst everything that can literally one-shot it.
I know
Of
PJ
course.
figured out how to use slash in there pretty well, but it's a little tricky to get the hits in and not get hit yourself. Junk in a lot of situations is a lot simpler to use and not too much slower, but it is slower.
Well, what's not slow is using Rush Jet for this little open movement area with a ton of springs that you normally would kind of have to just bounce around, not quite aimlessly, but just know that if you can know how to navigate the Rush Jet, you can pretty much just skip all the bouncing and just get straight to the next transition point before you get to our boss here, which is Springman. So for this fight, there are a few ways to do this fight. A couple. This is the pretty much the basic method. Just pretty much just do slash claw. This a little bit before Springman gets to the zenith height where it's unreachable, and just repeat the process of hitting them. Weakness animation, jump, hit them again. There's a small window where you can hit them, but if you can time it right, you can pretty much just cycle him as MrCab was just displayed.
If you don't cycle him properly, you get to remember that ARMS exists as a video game. Which Capcom
Never
did
pla-
actually say from one Springman to another when it came out.
Never really played Arms. To be fair, I really don't care.
You're not missing
so
anything.
I wouldn't expect I would. Well, we don't get spring arms, but we do get the wild coil, in which we can actually adjust the height depending on pressing up or down. We can also charge it for an extra bounce lift whenever we need it, and of course we're going to be needing it for the Shape Man fight coming up soon. But first things first, unfortunately I do not have audio, so tell me, do we get the original or do we get the Ghouls and Ghosts?
You have the original one because I can never remember what the actual code to get Ghouls and Ghosts is off the top of my head. Doesn't that one save like 2 frames?
Yeah, it saves a very, very, very small amount of time.
Just
But if
saying.
you're a fan, but if you're a fan of Ghouls and Ghosts, just pretty much hold B whenever, or the shoot button. It's either the shoot or the jump button whenever you actually pick them to get Ghouls and Ghosts music. But regardless of the matter, this stage, once you're done with a few gimmicks and so forth, you visit Van Poopkin. And Van Poopkin actually is the key to where you're going to be going once you kill him. You want to kill him the eyes. You want to hit the eyes and kill him from there. So you can get this particular path. If you hit him while his core is exposed, you get a completely separate path, which is necessary for 100% because that leads you to Proto Man fight. But that spot also leads to a very slow elevator section where you got to deal with zombies. And yeah, you don't want to deal with that. This is by far the fastest route to go.
I forgot that elevator even exists.
I don't even see it anymore since we do speed runs, but the memory is still there.
Oh man.
But anyway, we got a base sighting and we shoot the dog. Of course, it does. The shooting the dog doesn't really matter. It's just the thrill and so on and so forth.
Everybody
But,
else shoots the dog, so I guess it's faster? Why do I have slash equipped? This is wrong.
But yeah, little cutscene with base supposedly injured. Bigger Man provides assistance, teleports him to Dr. Light's lab where he get fixed up, and we mosey on to the statement fight, whereas you see the charge mechanic from the wild coil actually hits him while he's flying, making it the ideal weapon and weakness of choice for this fight. Hopefully, if you're able to do it right, you can kill him before he even flaps down and touch ground.
Yep. I think it's one of the weird things of this game. I'm not sure how many people like realize it when they're playing casually. If you hold up, they will bounce higher, and that is definitely the key to the Shade Man fight. It's the key to the Wily capsule. It's yeah, and I don't think
Yep,
it's really explained anywhere.
Yup, it really does. It's hold up for it to get extra height and hold down for it to stay grounded. That's how some of the directions with the wild coil works. The charge just adds a little extra bounce to it.
I didn't even know you could hold down.
Yeah, it's both up and down.
I learned something today. Thanks, Creed.
And knowing it's half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Cobra! Okay, seriously. Alright, one more Robot Master to go. We're going to Turbo Man stage, and if Burst Man is the most dangerous stage in the first 4 Robot Masters, Turbo Man probably would be the most dangerous of the second half of the robots for one reason. Well, for multiple reasons. But as for speed run maneuvering and platforming,
this is the worst room in the game, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this area is extremely dangerous and treacherous. These tires that above, they bounce Mega Man around, and if MrCab cut that a little too high or cut the jump short, that would have been an instant drop into the spikes where you pretty much got to do the whole beginning of the stage all over again. It is not a fun time in the slightest. Fortunately, Cab was able to get through the area safely, and now we're dealing with probably what normally would be the second most dangerous part, which is yet another quick match segment with instant kill flames, but Cab knows the layout of the area, so it's pretty much a non-issue.
And we got the free tank.
Indeed you did. And now for Sissy Truck. So he's just gonna go ahead and just equip the Noise Crush and just pretty much use his reflective and amplifying capabilities of the Noise Crush to power it up and just use it to destroy the Sissy Truck to give it a proper facelift. And we now go to the rest of the stage and let's see if he gets it.
Ooh.
Do we get it? Oh, whap.
Got him.
So Turbo Man would have been fought here, but MrCab did a technique where you can actually fire a shot right as you enter the door. And because the Noise Crush is able to bounce around walls, there are certain frames of entry where you can come in, shoot, have it bounce around in a little while, and as soon as Turbo Man begins to gain energy, not only his hitbox is active, but the health is active as well, in which, especially since it does weakness damage, you kill him. One of the most famous kills in Mega Man history.
It does work on Springman as well. And I think after that, just the arenas, even if you somehow manage to have Noise Crush in them, they just don't work. Dr. Light, we were just here. What happened?
Well, apparently, I don't know. It's hard to kind of excuse what happened literally 10 seconds ago when Lord Dump Base actually goes berserk after Dr. Light fixes him. So literally within 10 seconds, Mega Man comes in, comes out, Base gets healed, ransacks the place, and we find out that Dr. Wily actually made Base.
No way.
It's odd.
I thought his name was Bass.
Base, Bass, tomato, tomato, potato, potato.
This game just gets deeper and deeper.
Depends how deep you want to go. Some people might not be deep enough.
That's true.
But yeah, the Lord Dumb, like I said, Base ransacks the place, takes the enhancements that supposedly before Mega Man and Rush, takes it to Wily, and now we got another set of another Wily Castle to deal with. However, unlike other Mega Man games, especially coming from the NES, you can actually do these stages one stage at a time, in which you can actually refill on energy. So weapon management is not all that important compared to NES games. However, that still doesn't mean that you need to use your weapons properly. So of course, in typical Mega Man fashion, use all the weapons in your arsenal to make stages like this as fast as possible. So it's just all using some Thunderbolt to one-shot enemies, using Junk Shield and its busted self to demolish other enemies that can be one-shot or needs to be dealt with quickly, which would be durable otherwise. It's just go along your merry little way until you get to a point where you kind of want to use your rush items to get by areas as quickly as possible. And in this case, Rush Jet is king. Also, shout outs to the amazing Wally 1 music. I can't hear it from here, but I am humming in my head right now.
Do 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 do.
And dealing with the major gimmicks of the blackout floors, we get our second encounter with Base, but our first serious fight with him. So, as you can see, MrCab has the Noise Crush equipped. Noise Crush does deal the most damage, with Freeze Cracker doing just as much damage, but this is more efficient. So you're going to wind up using Noise Crush to try to hit him as much as possible, and a little bit of an odd effect towards the end of the fight. It's kind of like Base kind of has a lack of iframes for the final two hits. So if you shoot for the last two hits, shoot a couple of Noise Crush shots, and the fight will basically automatically end. And after that, just a few strolls with the Bug Nest, and now we go to the Gutsman G fight, and we see that Dr. Wily has done some interesting things with Gutsman. His fetish knows no bounds. But as you can see, Slash Claw is the weapon of choice. It's not necessarily the fact that you hit it in the head for 2 damage. It's the fact that it also has this unique gimmick where you can actually slash and shoot the big blocks right back into Gutsman for immense damage, which is what Cab was trying to do and done it as many times as possible, as such as the RNG of the actual blocks drop. Alright, so continuing on with that stage completed, now we're going through the second stage, and the second stage is, honestly, it's not too complicated. It's pretty much as straightforward as the first Wily stage. It doesn't have too much any notable gimmicks. It's just knowing how to navigate the areas and use your weapons as you would normally do in a Mega Man run to try to get through the areas faster. So we're just gonna go ahead and skip straight into the next fight, which is gonna be against Super Bass, where you get your Fuse, Bass, and Treble fight, and it's a pretty much a doozy of a fight if you really think about it, because the thing about this fight is, first off, whenever Bass starts flying, he's invulnerable to that phase, so you can't attack him in that set, and you gotta wait until he actually gets out of that flying animation to attack. The arena that he's in, you see the fans below, they actually give Mega Man extra lift, so you get extra height when jumping. So you gotta take that into account, and the stage is absolutely vertical. So you gotta use that to your terrain according to your advantage you see fit. But regardless of the matter, the weaknesses are still the same, so you're still gonna be using your Noise Crush to try to deal as much damage as possible. Of course, make sure not to get damage in the process, because a lot of basic techniques do immense damage, especially that rocket punch. But Cat was able to do the fight successfully, with really none worse for wear.
Yeah, that's probably the best Base 2 fight I've ever had.
But other than that, it's now a race to the finish. The area is mostly vertical at this point. As you can see, there's some conveyor belts. Actually, you can argue that conveyor belts are a part of the gimmick. Not too many conveyor belts in this stage, but yep, there's that. And of course, you got this little vertical section here with the flame jets. a nice helping of rush utilization here to get through this area as quickly as possible is a nice little way to get through the area.
You can switch to coil where I initially did, and it's better. But it's also a little harder, and there's like one jump at the top I can never get right. So I went to Junk Shield instead. This is the Super Adventure Island 2 turtle, part of the Boss Exchange program. I guess you could also call it Gamma Riser.
Well, yeah, well, right now, okay, it was shorter. He could wind up dashing between the walls, being invulnerable between 1 and 4 dashes. But the weakness is the wild coil, but as you can see right now, he's actually equipped. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was unfortunately placed. But as you saw, you can actually wrap the turtle in the danger wrap. Hang on. Okay, it's 2 again. So the thing about the danger wrap is, if you can encase a turtle in the danger wrap and keep it active when Gamma Riser returns, wasn't able to show a case at that time again. But if you do it correctly, that bomb strike will deal immense damage. So if you want to get through that boss quickly, you need that hit. Unfortunately, MrCab was unsuccessful, but it is what it is. It can be really tight trying to position the turtle correctly and not hit it on a wall.
Yeah, it's really tight. The first one just like threw off the timing, and yeah, it's a tight jump even to get to the left side and push them all the way back to the other side. It does speed up the fight though, because you save that whole cycle. Fortunately, these bullets are destroyable, so Junk Shield's actually useful in this climb.
Yeah, this stage is pretty much a variable obstacle course of different gimmicks. The invisible platforms from Cloud Band stage returns. There's more conveyor belts coming up later on. There's even some rocket bombs that you normally would traverse trying to fly over a set of spikes, which leads to a fork in the road where you got to go through either a section with Yoku blocks or a section underwater where you get the whole Burstman gimmick again. Even the return of Mr. Crab and the rising buoyancy chemical water. We do not take that underwater route because that's slow, especially after killing the crab where you rise up quickly.
I thought we went the other way because just like Super Mario World and Valley of Bowser 3, we like to get a blue Yoshi, except now it's a rush.
And we're using that rush to take that upper route, which is much faster, and we can, of course, ignore the Yoku blocks that are up here as a result.
This Yoku block section is so weird just because, like, you're right. Like, you can only get here with Rush Jet. Why would you ever take the blocks?
Level design issues, I don't know.
I guess.
But yeah, but now we go to Hyanet Squared. Yes, that is his name. And we're gonna use the amplified noise crush to destroy this. As you can see, MrCab is actually sliding into the noise crush. One of the interesting things about the noise crush is that it's actually slower than you sliding, at least initially. If you're able to time a slide as soon as you fire the noise crush, you actually get the amplified effect immediately, and you can use it against Hyanet, and you saw the eventual effects. Also, we didn't get to talk about it as we were continuing moving on. He also got an S-Tank going through that Yoku block area. The S-Tank pretty much serves similar to the M-Tank in Mega Man 5, which refills not only your health, but also your weapon energy, and does it all at once, very quickly, compared to the M-Tank variant. Go check out the 10-hour weapon fill of the M-Tank. It's somewhere on YouTube. It's a hoot. Otherwise, it's pretty much just boss rushes galore. There are some differences. As you can see, instead of using the Buster Shot to deal the damage threshold restrictions for this fight, you use an amplified noise crush to do the same effect. It also stands to note that Slashman has 2 weaknesses. This is very important because one of them is actually a little bit more clumsy and cumbersome, as Mr. Cab is showing off right now.
Man, that didn't kill him. But it did flinch.
It also stands to note that Slashman and Burstman do share the same weaknesses, same two weaknesses. So that's one thing to consider. But of course, we're going to be using Freeze Cracker for both of them. It's more efficient than using a Scorch Wheel. Other than that, for the most part, the boss rushes is mostly the same, except for a few cases. Cloudman, we do have the weakness for it now. The only thing about the Cloudman fight is the simple fact that instead of encasing him in the bubbles, we don't want that. Whenever he's encased in a bubble, he actually has an extra flinch animation, which takes up a lot of time, not only for the animation itself, but for the iframes that it produces afterwards. So we're going to be trying to use the actual bombs itself and try to deal damage that way. From that point on, it's pretty much just boss fights like normal. So this is a fine time, since we've been talking pretty much throughout the entire game, to see if we actually got some donations, if you have any.
Junkman, second verse, same as the first. I can never remember who's in this room. You ever get that with refights? You walk in front of the door, and it's like, oh no, which weapon am I supposed to be using now?
You know, it seems like we're not getting much of donations, but of course we're still happy to support the Canadian Cancer Society. Once again, Game Over Cancer, very, very fun event. Always try to participate whenever the need comes. If we have something to do, always a fun event. Of course, always spread the word. We always want to help out for charity. Cancer has always been, will always be a situation for anyone and everyone to deal with. So just make sure to also donate. We also have check the schedule for upcoming runs. Of course, there are prizes. Everything is on the titles, the stream title for all the shortcuts, for all the information. Just put it all there in chat. And of course, just keep on keeping on. Just to know, oh boy, about to see, saw a bubble there. About to get scared for a moment.
Oh god. Okay, because he had 5 hit points.
Alright, one more robot master to go. That should be Shade.
Yep.
It will be good to get going.
Oh, that's right. I actually have search.
You actually gonna try for it?
It doesn't really cost anything to try.
Well, let's see if you can actually get in position to get it. Then we'll talk about it after, regardless if you get it or not. Alright, that's 8 Robot Masters down, and now for the final climactic fight with Wily. So, right now, Mr. Cab is getting Rush Search equipped. Wasn't able to get it positioned correctly.
I can never get that right.
I would not really know how to set it up either. But how it's supposed to go is if you're able to time the Rush Search correctly, Rush will be in a position where he's actually on top of Mega Man, and he's supposed to be digging around, getting you an item, hopefully. Whenever you get an item, if you have damage or get a weapon, that ammo refill will actually restore Mega Man's movement, because normally you will be standing still waiting for the Wily machine to actually come out on screen. And while you have that frame of movement, you have a similar situation similar to Turbo Man earlier, where you can get into position and use a weapon in such a way that when you actually refill, when he starts that filling animation for his energy, you can actually hit him and he can be quick killed. Otherwise, you get the fight that Mr. Cab actually did normally, where you use the Thunderbolt to try to deal as much damage as possible. Meanwhile, probably the most famous capsule in Mega Man history, the Mega Man 7 Wily capsule, infamous for its difficulty, probably more infamous for its pixel size than anything. But yeah, pretty annoying fight. You want to avoid all the bullets, especially the elemental ones, like the ice one, where you get stuck in, possibly get hit twice. The flame one, where you get caught in fires and flames for a period of time. The key is you want to be sure to try to use your wild coil as much as possible, and hopefully Wally be in position where you can get double hits, like this one. There we go. So we always want Dr. Wily to be as low as possible to get double hits on with the wild coil. Otherwise, you might have to be forced to use a high wild coil to try to hit him high. And if you're quick enough, maybe use the freeze cracker to try to get another extra hit in. Of course, since this fight is pretty much heavy on resources thanks to how the fight is structured, of course, use your weapon energy and or S-tanks in due diligence.
We got a couple of 4 damage cycles in this, so that's good. That's time.
Yep, indeed. GG. Pretty well done.
I don't think I had any huge mistakes there, except the Gamma Riser could have taken some more damage, and Burst's stage is just Burst's stage.
Yeah, not too shabby, all they consider. Very good marathon run. So,
Great marathon run indeed.
So, of course, this does conclude Mega Man 7, at least for this day. Just want to let everyone know that Mega Man 7 will make a return on Friday, actually run by yours truly, in a kindly different sense, with Rockman 7 Bean Lover on Friday, about the same time as right now. So if you want to see Mega Man 7 in a slightly different light, I would stay tuned for Friday because it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Otherwise, I have nothing else to say other than thank the folks behind Game Over Cancer for allowing us to present the game. Cab, you get the final words.
The final words. I thank you, Creed, so much for talking for this run, so I didn't have to think of anything to say. You have a mastery of this game more than I do, at least. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for having us. Everything Creed already said. This was fun.
Okay, well, on a final note, we did have a donation during that run from Pro Peace saying more help for Sypha. Let's go Cab. So that was a $5 donation, and we will be back with much more Mega Man with, I believe, Mega Man 8 with Jacob Does a Thing. So don't go anywhere, anybody, and we will be back.